Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. I'm not exactly sure if everything is working out, but yeah, here's AJ. AJ, good evening. Thank you for kicking in the GD Raider. Hey, my favorite British streamer. So nice of you, ZD Raider. Yeah, we're doing British stuff. Spectre, hey, nice to see you guys. Yes. I've just returned from Great Britain, from England, from Chatham, from London, because DTG was nice enough to invite us ambassadors and moderators to the office meet-up and inform us about the things to come and all the stuff that you will hear about in the Dovetail Direct, so that people can go ahead and produce videos in advance and stuff. Well, that was really nice. Obviously I cannot talk about it and I won't, but Akura94, moin to you as well. Welcome back to dark Germany. Well, it's actually much lighter, hotter and more sun here than it was in England. There was one day that was really hot, but apart from that, there was enough rain. Thanks for the photos. Yes, and I brought more photos actually, because I did not have the time to prepare anything presentation-wise. So I actually took the time on, when was it? Yesterday, actually, when I had enough time to travel from Chatham via London to Stansted Airport to get back to Germany, in a way that I got off the train at every station between Chatham and St Pancras in London, and took some pictures for you and me so that we can compare what we have in the game on the Southeastern High Speed line. And so crazy low that would have driven me nuts, says AJ, to get off the train at every station. Yeah, wait for the next train. Well, I thought maybe I can get many different trains to ride on, but actually it was only the Javelin and the 700 Desiro. But I've seen the Electrostar, the 375 that is also in the game, the other Desiro, the 707, a networker. I've actually heard and seen a networker, a 465. Unfortunately, I was not able to travel on one. And those things really exist. This is really funny for someone who is not living in the UK, and got acquainted with all those trains and stations and stuff like I got via the game, to see that these things actually exist. Spectre Network is my favorite training game, drives like a charm. Yeah, I totally feel that. Spectre the Networker is such a nice train to drive. Well, I guess they would not have let me drive it, but even riding on one and even hearing the networker leave the station was nice. At Strood, you might remember Strood, that's the station where you are so super slow on your way, and you really have to go super slow there, even on the Javelin. And the networker was leaving there. AJ Black, what did the Javelin sound like? The Javelin sounds quite like it sounds in the game, at least for my untrained ears. And the Javelin is a super comfy, nice train to ride on, in my opinion. Yeah, but I prepared some pictures, and I just will go on the same trip that I went on when was it, Wednesday, and then yesterday, from London St Pancras to Chatham, and then from Chatham back to London St Pancras, because unfortunately the Victoria line to Tottenham Hale, and then the Stansted Express by Greater Anglia from Tottenham Hale to Stansted Airport is not in the game, so I cannot do this, even though I spent 1 hour with the thing that I did getting off the train at every station, at the station that is called Stansted Mount Fidget, what is really a little station, nice station, but the next train to stop there to get me to Stansted Airport was 1 hour later, so I spent 1 hour yesterday there. And yesterday I arrived past midnight at home. And what kind of ticket did you use? It was just an off-peak return ticket that allowed me to break my journey and just use the next train. So it did not matter how long it took me, as long as I wouldn't go in the other direction again, or go on a route that is not allowed. So as long as I stayed on the route and did not change direction, everything was fine. I actually talked to a guard if I'm fine with my ticket, a guard on a Javelin. So I feel completely in the rights. Inspector says, "Hi, I'm a driver in Train Sim World. Is the no hey, I am a model on Instagram." I wonder what the guards would have said. Well, the guards are super friendly actually on the trains that I rode on. It is no comparison to Germany. Really, I love being in England and on English and British trains. So, yeah, no comparison to Germany actually. Well, there are friendly and nice people in Germany as well. But the guard that I talked to on the Javelin, really super nice, super friendly, super helpful. Okay, well, enough talk about this kind. Let's turn on the DLC marker. Obviously, we are going. Was there someone checking the doors before departures, like if everyone's boarded? If they did not check if everyone's boarded, but they actually had quite a lot of platform staff. What also is quite surprising if you're looking at it from German perspective. In Germany, there's almost nowhere anyone at the platform helping the driver to dispatch the train, but here on many stations there were employees in high visibility vests with one of those thingies where you can signal to the driver that doors are closed properly and that they are cool to depart. Not only one, but usually quite a couple of them. And on one station actually there was a message at the spot where the driver would stop, telling the driver that because of staff shortage at the moment there is nobody to help him do the dispatching on this platform. Well, let's go to St Pancras. Full. And let's drive a Javelin from St Pancras to Chatham. Yeah. This always happens and will probably not stop happening in Train Sim World 6. I actually wore my Train Sim World 6 t-shirt that I got in my goodie bag on my way home. And at least the driver at the place where I had my... the waiter at the place where I had my breakfast asked me about the game and said that not Train Sim World 6. No, of course Train Sim World 6. What do you think? St Pancras International to Ashford? No, I want St Pancras International to Feathersham. Not from Feathersham, but to Feathersham. St Pancras International to Feathersham. Not too much sun, because that is always a bit difficult. With the older routes. Heavy clouds I want. I cannot have heavy clouds in April. Well, let's have light clouds. He looks so good in that shirt, says AJ. Well, it's true that even on the London Underground, I often saw people on the platform supervising boarding and alighting. Yes, too. And the London Underground, well, I love riding on the London Underground. I think there is... well, obviously there is, but it is so loud and fast and bumpy. If you compare that to German underground trains, it is really almost like a roller coaster. So, I love running on the London Underground train. Spectre. Oh, by the way, I read there are plans to have a direct train from Germany to London. They did not say from which German cities, but maybe the ICE3 at St Pancras from HE8 from Southeastern High Speeds may become reality. Maybe. so that we would not be confined to the Eurostars. Yeah, obviously I saw some Eurostars as well. Next time maybe I will take a Eurostar. Some of the German colleagues, ambassador colleagues, came with the Eurostar, but they were not so super happy. Apparently it was not so comfy. Yeah, St Pancras International to Feathersham, and here we are on our Javelin. And before we are doing anything with the train, let's go into photo mode and check around where we are. This is where we are, St Pancras, and it is exactly as it is displayed here. You have 3 platforms for the Javelin trains to start, and then there is this fence. And why is there this? Why is this fence here? Because this is the part, the international part, where the Eurostars come in. So this is more or less still a border where you need some sort of border control for people coming in. So here the international trains are arriving, and then there actually should be another fence, but here is not the fence in the game, for the trains that are coming from the East Midlands. And we will see a picture later. I actually saw an East Midland intercity, but it was not East Midland trains, it was East Midland Railways. And see, there are probably with ETCS anything is possible. Yeah, and you might be able to teach the ICE3, the TVM 430. That wouldn't be so bad, in my opinion. So here the Eurostar is not in the game, obviously. In reality, there are quite a lot of Eurostars in this compartment. But here, this area actually looks pretty much like that. In reality, is a bit more room here between this part and the gate line. And but it's true that you arrive here with those escalators, and if you are sitting here, you have this view outside on the old part of the St Pancras Station, and to the left this is King's Cross Station. So everybody who knows where the Hogwarts Express leaves at King's Cross, and if you are not so much interested in the Hogwarts Express but more in the Azuma trains, this is here to the left. This roof and this little tower belongs to the King's Cross Station, where the East Coast Main Line starts, and therefore the Azuma trains and also the Hogwarts Express. Obviously there's a lot of Harry Potter themed stuff going on King's Cross. And here's actually my first picture. I want to show you what I took at St Pancras Station. So this is that view, more or less, from the gate line outside this view, and you can see that there's actually this tower for the old station building, and this house here in front. I think it is the Great Northern Hotel or something like this, and to the left there is the King's Cross Station. And then if you turn around, you can actually see the Javelins in action. So that was my first Javelin that I saw. And yeah, then obviously I looked a bit closer at them. They have the rear lights on already, and those are the 3 platforms where the Javelins are running on. And this is what we will be doing here. If I manage to get out of right door unlock, and then we have to turn on all the safety systems on the Javelin. Here is the French stuff, KVB and TVM. Did I? Yeah, it's normal now. And I can uncrouch. Yeah, and I had a sneak peek in a cab through the open door, but there were two lady guards apparently having their break, so I didn't want to interfere. It was the rear cab, what is apparently for the guards to dwell in as long as the train is getting boarded. Let's see if I can still operate a Javelin. It's been a while since last time. Actually, I don't need to turn on the disclaimer that I got my DLC free from Dovetail Games, because this DLC and the trains here I bought myself still. Yeah, and that was me on Wednesday boarding a 395. And then obviously not driving it, but sitting very comfy at the table together with Raf, the guy who writes those manuals for TSG, so for the Expert 101 for example. And we were running towards Feathersham. There's a class 43 coming in from East Midland. Are we one single train set? Yes. Next one is Stratford International. I have some pictures. Stratford International Station, what I think is a very weird station. I will show them when we are on our way back. Because I took them on my way back. Did I not turn on any lights, by the way? Marker lights. I missed the proper setting, so it is better. And we can race down into the tunnel. And this sound, I think it is quite close to what it sounds like in reality. And it also, in reality, only takes a couple of minutes to get from Stratford to St Pancras and vice versa. Yes. No British train ever stopped at Stratford. No international train ever stopped at Stratford International. That is true, yeah. Actually, Ruff and I talked about this. And it is an interesting thing. So Stratford International is a very weird station altogether, in my opinion. But you never know. Maybe at some point an international train will stop at Stratford. The Eurostars just run through. Driving according to TVM 430 is really a nice thing to do. I love that. It's a bit like driving according to RTB. And flip out at Stratford. When I stopped at Stratford yesterday, there were a lot of people going into London for party purposes, obviously. Dressed up for party, wearing funny hats and stuff like this. But no international train ever stopped. And also the Javelins are no international trains, but very British commuter trains. And you have this really weird layout of the station, with one part on the left side and one part on the right side, and in the middle this ramp where you can connect the trains to and from Anglia. Oops. Oh no, did I... What did I do to my main circuit breaker? Sometimes you can actually pop the main circuit breaker by moving the reverse around. And now the longer part towards Ebbsfleet. But I also spent a quite lonely half hour at Ebbsfleet, because it is not really a station where a lot of people get off the train. But I saw a Javelin change power at Ebbsfleet. Like getting the panto down and the third rail shoe down, also down, to do the power changeover. And Ebbsfleet International, where we are stopping with this train, or the trains going towards Feathersham and back. Platform 5 and 6 is quite remote compared to the other platforms of Ebbsfleet, so that you can actually see the station outside from platform 5 and 6. For some reason here on this train, the vigilance pedal is connected with the TPWS brake demand, so don't get confused why I'm pushing the brake demand key all the time. So, getting out of the tunnel soonish, and then through this part where we cross the motorway. The Class 66 of the Freightliner variety I also saw, but I wasn't fast enough to take a picture. So I can get them on or off my list as well. It's really a pity that as soon as there is new content, you don't really play the old content anymore. So good thing this journey gave me an excuse to drive the Javelin once more. one of the many crossings with the motorway. Friends on the road. And here, this part, I actually tried to get a photo here of this part. But I was not fast enough. Where the train is actually squeezing through. Both arms of the motorway, Acura. I'm actually absolute into London Commuter, something older as well. Yeah, I love this route. London Commuter is a super beautiful route and extremely relaxing to drive. You can feel that it is oldish, but it's a really great route. London Commuter, London Brighton. Alright, and now we're getting closer to Ebbsfleet as soon as we're out of the tunnel. It's really not long anymore. And I deliberately paid attention when the driver is going to slow down for the stop at Ebbsfleet. And they really yanked in the brakes as soon as they were out of the tunnel. Because the 130 that the TVM 430 is showing was a bit deceiving. I think you're down to 100 on the bridge, so I'm over braking a bit, but still. See, the radar says, yeah, I know it too. When I go somewhere, I only know from videos and video games. You keep looking here and there and you don't know where to look first and you recognize everything. Yeah, I know, right? That's how it is. AWS. AWS is back and cap signals are ending. Yeah, 100 is actually the limit here. But we have to stop, so we can't go too fast. Power changeover sign. This one I could not take a photo of because it was in front of the platform and I obviously could not trespass. I did not want to risk being fined, and obviously I wanted to adhere to what I'm always saying: keep the railway stuff to the professionals, or leave it to the professionals. Yeah, I sat in this booth here to the right, and I also sat on this little booth here at the end of the platform. We will get to it when we are on our way back. It's actually even a smaller booth here at the end of the platform, at least it was when I was there yesterday. And this signal with the DK. I've got a picture of that as well. So Power changeover. I hope I can do this still. What we will do... Do we have to open first? No, it already switched. And then for closing the main circuit breaker, we should have our shoe down now. By the way, which airport did you visit? It was Stansted. I came in via Stansted, which was really relaxing. But going out on Stansted on a Saturday night is an experience that I don't want to have again. That is really like cattle must feel when they are shipped off to the abattoir. Yeah, those signals here I have pictures of. I will show them later. How will the speed limit develop here? We are at 60, 70, and then slower for Gravesend. $60 miles. We are in miles now because we did do the power changeover. Did I miss the 30 for whatever reason? No. It was for the diverging part. Here's the junction where the trains from the branch line come in. What was the name again? I always forget. Stoughton? I probably cannot actually see it because it is an old map. Now I can do it. Joining in. What? Where I'm looking at. I'm obviously looking at here. Where I want to look at. Dartford. It is Dartford. Dartford that I'm talking about. Yeah. Here I can go still 60, banner repeater, and then there will be a limit of 30 for Gravesend. Nice thing actually when going home yesterday and always waiting for the next train was that you actually know where the trains are going. And the announcement says train is going to there and there, calling at so and so, and know, this is one of those services. I can take it or I can not take it because this is not the direction I want to go. This is the limit to 30, and at the same time the crossover for the trains coming from Dartford and going into Bay Platform 0 here at Gravesend. You will see pictures of the Bay Platform 0 at Gravesend on our way back. Actually don't know whether it is called Platform 0 or Platform NIL or Platform O. And there actually was a networker in this platform after a Desiro had left. Yeah, and as it is shown here, you can walk around. Oh, I should have stopped at Gravesend. Well, then let's not stop at Gravesend. Let's just go to Strood. Full Knapworth suspector, yes. Well, for some reason, as Matt would call it. I actually had some nice words with Matt during the meeting. And I have to say he's a really friendly and nice guy to talk to. And it impressed me a lot how he's running his company. So what is the limit here actually? 70? Yeah. I accelerated a bit fast. Well, don't judge me for my driving today. Today it is scenery and experience. Now this is this part where we are passing this yard area, and Ruff and me, we couldn't both not remember the name of this yard. But we could remember what services you can drive there. And Higham, I spent some time at Higham. And here we actually do not stop with a Javelin, only the Class 700s. Ho Junction's a Spectre, if you say so, then it is probably the name. And it is called Junction for a reason, because there is actually a line coming in from the left, if we are driving that way. Signal cleared on the approach here on the left. There is not only a connection to the yard, but there is actually a proper line coming in. Yeah, and there were some 66s standing about on the yard when we were passing. And then we will pass Higham. Will you clear signal? No, did not clear. Then we have to prepare to stop. Not stopping at Gravesend now gives us the nice experience of running into restrictive signals. Where this train here is standing, the Class 700, this is Higham. And I actually have a picture for you of two Class 700s at Higham. This rickety-rackety footpath bridge actually exists in real life, but it is much more rickety-rackety than it looks here. Alright, we can go again. Into the tunnel. Oh, that reminded me that next Sunday I'll be on the Semmeringbahn after a very long time, so I wonder if when I get back I'll feel like playing it right away too, or should I check it out properly before then? Yeah, give us some pictures then from the Semmeringbahn. Maybe you can do what I did and get off at every station and wait for the next rail jet. That will probably take you a day or two. Semmering is Austria, says Acura94. Yes, it is. It is Austria. From Lower Austria to Styria. Niederösterreich in die Steiermark. So, second tunnel, and not to forget, at the end of the second tunnel there is a speed limit of 15 before we roll into Strood. And speed limits at the end of a tunnel are always a bit annoying because you typically don't have any proper markers to prepare for the speed limit. You have the signal, maybe, to go by as soon as you can actually see the signal. You should slow down, in this case, because it is yellow even more so. And also, there is a morpeth board. But if you slow down to 15 too early, then you're just crawling out of the tunnel like a worm. And CD Radar says, except for Kapfenberg and Bruck an der Mur, he has already visited all the stations on the Railjet 78 route. That is impressive. Kapfenberg, yeah. That is this name that I always misread for Karpfenberg. Like the fish, the Karpf. Not to be mixed up with Kranebitten, yes, what is also in Austria, but in Tyrol, right? So here is our 15 limit. And the signal cleared the yellow. And this is Strood. What I also visited since yesterday. And where the Javelins have to go 15 miles per hour. At least we made up for lost time by not stopping at Gravesend. Yep. That's actually what happened when I was there. A 375 was standing in this platform. I was looking at it from the rear, about here, so you will see pictures of that later. Also from this gantry with the banner repeaters, there was a pigeon sitting here on this gantry. And from this area here, you can see a picture where the power cables are feeding the third rails, I think. So much as a teaser for the way back. I did not see those yellow PIS boards though. But obviously this is all a bit set back in time. And yeah, of course, if you see something, yeah, they forget to add the pigeon. That does not seem right. In Train Simulator 6, pigeons can be controlled by the player. What did I do with my reverser again? Speak of staff. Do not ask what the circle button is for. For controlling the pigeons? No, I don't ask. So now we're going across this very slow junction to get onto the beautiful railway bridge where we cross the River Medway, what is the namesake for the whole area here. The Medway area. Rochester Castle. What I have a picture of. And then this nice bridge here. Too fast, too fast, too fast. Here the submarine, where I actually took a picture through this bridge paneling on the side. And then I think we get to the point where I can show you the next picture that I took from about this spot here. Looking at the submarine, obviously not from out of the cab, but from out of my window. Something like this. See the radar, oh, did you see something that doesn't look right? So you spoke to staff and texted British Transport Police on 61016. We sort it. See it? Say it. Sort it. Yeah, no, I heard it a lot, obviously, but I did not see anything that doesn't look right. Everything looked quite right. And also here, as you can see, the submarine, it is actually there, and it looks a bit like you can see it here on my picture to the left part of the window frame on the Javelin River Medway with the submarine. So I think this is quite nicely captured in the game. And yeah, we can go on with our journey to Chatham, 2 stations, and then we're there and we can visit Dovetail Games. We're stopping at Rochester. How did we end up in situation that game looks more real than real picture? Maybe this is because my phone is so battered. And a phone does not really get better if horses step on it. Maybe we all are living in a simulation, says Spectre. So, looking at the pictures, it was quite a dull day when I took the pictures, both on Wednesday as yesterday. But still, I think the lenses of my camera are a bit scratched. So the simulation is much brighter than the real world as seen through Tiger's old phone. Alright, next stop at Chatham. Did you take a picture of that horse from under the hoof? Ronnie, no, German stuff, very unamusing. Hey, I do not get to visit Dovetail game every week, so let me just do some British stuff when I actually returned from England yesterday. And can show you how this line actually looks, or looked yesterday. When I traveled there. I see, fair enough, it says Taubenschwanzspiele. Yes. It's actually interesting that what they call a dovetail connection, in German we would call a Schwalbenschwanz, right? So it's not, it's a different bird, but the same idea. And CD says to Ronnie, maybe if you invite Tiger to your office he would do more German realities. Yeah, take me on a cab ride and I will stream a whole week about it. Look at that, that was a class 37. Pulling a failed Southeastern train as it looked. Yeah, and we are at Chatham. And here we arrived on Wednesday. Got off our Javelin and visited Dovetail games. Who were, I have to repeat this once more, extremely nice and friendly. So, I think I will leave the service here now, because this is where we actually exited and then visited Dovetail games. And here you can see from up here in Chatham, the area, it is actually a bit dark, so you can't really see a lot. The dockyards area where Dovetail games has their offices. And here you can see it again from the pier. See there. So, was it a secret event that Dovetail didn't even share any photos or anything? They will share, I'm quite sure. They shared last year, and they ask for permission if they can take pictures and film. So I think they will definitely share a bit of it at a later time. I think just wait for the Dovetail directed, what is it, 26th or something around this, a good week's time. And then you probably see me walking around in Dovetail Studios. We were not allowed to take pictures or any footage, obviously, for reasons, and Harry actually told me that she is allowed to threaten me if I take pictures. to take away my phone and kick me out of this office. Obviously, she threatened the wrong person because I would never have taken any pictures anyway. Not even threatened with such a fate. This is actually the gate that you have to pass to get into this Dockland area. You have to tell the guard at the entrance where you want to go to Dovetail Games, and then you are allowed to step in, and then you are in a protected area with a lot of offices, a lot of companies, and they were also nice. Also, they threatened me. Yeah, they made it very clear that they don't want any pictures and footage taken in their offices, what is totally understandable, and what, in my opinion, goes without saying. And here it is. You can see my hand pointing to level 3 Dovetail Games. So in this house, under the roof, in a great and nice area. This is where Dovetail resides. They hopefully don't resign. They reside there, and this is where we spent 2 days until they kicked us out. And then we went back from Chatham Station. This is where we just arrived with our train here. And now we can actually use the photo mode to find the corresponding bit of the Chatham Station area. This is the opposite side, not the one where you would come out of the tunnel from. I'm just checking. It is the area that I went to when leaving, so I probably was here. Photo in the scene still. Yes, it is there in the scene. I'm just trying to find the correct spot so that I can merge it. Was it like that? I think it is this spot here. Yes, it is. Our Javelin is still in the way. But apart from that, I can take away the photo, and this is about that. Yeah, you know those games where you have to find the views, and I'm trying to find the views underneath the picture in reality, and that's about that. Obviously, I'm a bit smaller than the camera here, so maybe it looks more like this, but this guy is standing in the way. That is the station board. Probably more on the other end. This is where all the people... Yeah, I don't think that this is here. I don't think that this is here in that way. No, it is more or less like this. That it looks in the game, and it's a bit in a different way, yeah. So, but that again should be from the other side with the stairs. And I was on the platform number 1 because I was leaving for London. So it's about that view, I guess. Yeah, that is what the game looks like. And this is what it looked like in real life. So they did forget to hang their union check in the game. But apart from that, it's quite close. Then I walked underneath this thing. And where the brick walls are, and that it looks again even closer. Look here, the brick walls. Here what it looks like in reality. Here are the brick walls where you can hide signals behind if you want. Then going further on, platform 1, stop marker for 4 and 8. Yeah, you can actually see the stop marker for RLU, 4 and 8, and the DOO helper screens. So that you can totally recognize, can't you? Signal is now red in the game. Here it was yellow, and you can see that it is really bright, and you can see it very easily from afar. And here was that big station sign that is not in the game here. And I had a look at those DOO screens in the game. They are obviously dark, but in real life, if you are a driver, you can actually see what is happening next to your train. Juniper, I traveled to Osnabrück today, and I have to say I'm a bit disappointed about how Osnabrück looks in comparison to what it looks like in the game. Or was the bark not there? Inspector, they did not light up the tunnel in reality. No. No, probably not. Then there are those interesting things that I still don't really know what they are good for. They are not in the game, those lockout devices. They are sometimes even marked in the, what's it called again? The sectional appendix. And they are somehow used to block pieces of track if there is a train sitting in. And they are there. But they can't be found in the game. You can see that one telephone in the game here, but not the lockout devices. Juniper is a pretty dead city with very many unused buildings rotting away, or maybe it was just a Sunday that the buildings are rotting away, or that there is not a lot of stuff happening and people on the road. I can see. Well, I've never been to Osnabrück actually, so I couldn't say. Osnabrück, you said, not Oldenburg. Sorry, just made the wrong connection. So what will be our next picture? Oh yeah. Here you can actually show it next to the line. Yeah, here will be. This is that phone. That's what it looks in reality and what it looks like in the game. And then again, when the signal switched, and that is actually something that is still hard to understand, why it is so difficult in the game to make the signal easily recognizable from being close by. Those LED signals, the closer you get, the harder they are to see what color they are actually showing. And here it is a yellow light, and you can see it really well, even with my bad picture. Turning around again, back to Chatham Station. That is the view in the game, with the Javelin still standing there. And that was the view yesterday. So all quite close, I think. Then there was a 375, I think, coming into the station. There was a bit closer here again. Can actually see those blue markings. They also appear in the game here on the pillars. Here I took a picture of the shoe for the third rail, where you can see where it is actually picking up the energy from the third rail. That will be the equivalent in the game. Yeah, and then back again, the view along the platform and the train. Yeah, the Javelin's passing through, and I think I took this picture because it was the Javelin trains at number 1 that was passing there. Then there was a Class 700 passing as well. And here you can see those people in the high visibility jackets, where are the platform staff for the dispatching of the trains. And I said that even on a station with only 3 platforms, you find dispatch personnel or staff on the platform to help the driver dispatching the train. Here again with the 700. And the signal in green, so that you can see that also in green you can read it perfectly. Then I stepped on a 700 and made my way to Rochester, so we have to go to Rochester in the game. For that purpose, I give up this Javelin and walk over to the other side. And let's try to spawn a 700 that takes us to Rochester. And 8 car was enough. Oh, I cannot spawn one because probably there's a train arriving. Signal went to red, so I cannot use this platform as it seems. Probably not. Then I will just go back into free roam so that we don't get annoyed by trains. Fast travel, I could have done fast travel, but I want to switch to out of the timetable and go into a mode where I can actually be the only one on the track. Well, now we are done anyway. So Southeastern High Speed, free roam, and let's just spawn at Chatham. Gravesend, Rochester, Strood, Chatham. Here we are. We picked something like in April, I think, with some clouds. And funny enough, it was actually around 10 that I started my journey. And it took me until 6 in the evening. Wrong platform. To get to the airport. What is not surprising if you get off at every station that there is. Spawn new train, 700. Now it should be okay. Yep. Siemens Desiro. No, I don't want to climb down, I want to close the doors. Is there anywhere I can close the cab door? Weird. Let's turn the train on. Reverse is already in neutral. It is not closing the cab door. Here we can do this. Then I will just do the safety stuff quite fast.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Very nice, my friend. Then we just need a path. And actually I want to go until Gravesend with this train. And this is what we can do. I've not played this train a lot, as it seems. Since I'm getting... Maybe we should use some lights, shouldn't we? Or is this one of the trains with the lights on already? No, we need some lights. Here are the lights. Daylights. The living daylights. So, 30 we can go out of Chatham. And those trains really have this whining noise. So Chatham to Rochester is not really a long travel. Nice thing about this train is that you see really a lot. Old Rochester Station here. To the left, Rochester Castle. And to the front, Rochester Station. Still one of my favorite British trains because you sit in the middle. Yeah, that is really nice. So I'm stopping here at Rochester, even though in the free roam I am actually not supposed... Ah, there would have been a 3-aspect banner repeater. I did not see that one. So I did not take a picture of it. Thameslink. Okay. Photo mode. 700 at Rochester. And can look at what do I have in pictures here. So this is Rochester Station. With the train out of the way, it is about, yeah, that way, from under the station roof. You can see probably those buildings, or at least these buildings with the wavy roof line. And, whoops, this is the gantry. Oh, where did it? Now I confused my stuff. This is the exit gantry here. Where did I go? Where did I go with my stuff? Here. Yep. That is just so that I know where I was, more or less, the view. Across here. That is the view to the other direction. Showing to the right Rochester Castle, behind the car park. Then again, starting from Rochester with the submarine and the side of the bridge. And then we are already at Strood. So let's go to Strood. Oh no, so return tomorrow to get a picture of the 3 aspects banner repeater. Would be an option actually. But I'm afraid I won't get a refund for that. Or a reimbursement. Can ask them, can I reuse my ticket because I forgot to take a picture of the 3 aspect banner repeater. Maybe the British Transport Police can sort it out for me. Yeah, you can see the grating that I took a picture of on the bridge. That's actually the pigeon that we were... No, there is no pigeon. Driving significantly over speed limit. Look at that. I missed the 20 limit after the bridge, as it seems. So, here we are at Strood. Strood. They call it with a long sound. Strood. And I guess that what I took a picture of was actually this thingy here. Yeah, it almost completes, can almost be fitted into into the picture. Oops, what did I do? Strood. Yeah, and the off indicator here at Strood does not work. And I took a picture of it because it was interesting, because this was an off indicator that actually differentiated what signal it was connected with. It's the up signal that is off at this point. Here again, same part of the platform, but with working off indicators. And here with a Javelin, obviously, and not with a Class 700. Then turning around, I saw the Electrostar 375 that was already in the original DLC. So in the game, it is missing here on platform 3. Houses behind it look a bit different. But apart from that, a 375, yes, they actually exist. And also those trains actually exist. So maybe I just built the whole scene as I encountered it in real life. So here was a 375. Southeastern. Oh, I've got the picture still in a way. So you can see, here is my 375. I will stop beeping, train. Or I will just delete you. And then on the other platform, there was, I think it was an 8 car. Networker sitting around. Here. Lady, I have to go in this spot. Yeah. So now the game fits reality. Can see that it is actually a networker. What I showed there, just have to run over to that spot where they are coupled. So picture, game, picture, game, picture, game. Love it anyway, even if it's not the same. That's not the same train. He said it's not the same train. What did I do? Did I not spawn the proper Electrostar here? Yeah, well, it's not the same train through. But it has the same number at any rate. Same sort, but different. Yeah, well, but it is close enough. So, where is that? Yeah, I guess the station signs are a bit different in the game than they are in reality. And here that networker was leaving the station. In the background you can see this bridge here that allows you to pass on to the other side. In a wheelchair, for example. So also quite close again. Yeah, here. That one, once again, without the networker in front of it. That was the view that is now blocked in the game by my see? So this car park actually exists with that little church in the background. Now I tried to go on with the game instead of my pictures. So this will be the gantry for leaving Strood towards the tunnel with the 2 banner repeaters and the red signals behind. Took this picture so that you can see that the red signals correspond with the banner repeaters. Now I misclicked again. Here, the game. And the signals in real life from the same view, but this time with a pigeon on it. And after the signal cleared. Why did I take this picture? This is because you can see here where there is a gap actually in the 3rd rail. And you can see the big power cables connected to the 3rd rail where the juice comes in to power the trains. And now we are again inside a Class 700, and you can see why the toilets in the trains are not represented. Let's spawn a new Class 700, and that will be more or less getting out of first. Yeah. That will be behind this door. All neat and tidy. And this is what it looks like inside. That toilet is not very British. Well, it looks more like New York subway maybe. But yeah, I thought I should take a picture to see what it looks like behind this neat and tidy door. Yeah, and now we are at Higham, as it seems. That means I have to drive this train on. Yeah, those Class 700s in the game, they are really nice and tidy, and in real life they are a bit battered, to be honest. But still nice trains. Lights. And we might need a path again, because I deleted the train prematurely before we got to Gravesend. Where's Gravesend? Yeah. It should be Gravesend. Alright, let's go to Gravesend. Now we have the situation that the signal. Did we close our doors? Yes. Same situation that we had in the picture with the pigeon. So I I think I went on a Javelin from Rochester to Strood. And then I had to wait for a service that actually stops at Higham, because the Javelins don't stop at Higham. And not many services do stop there. Sneaky sneak. With 15 miles into the tunnel. And then we can accelerate to, what was it, 70 I think. But we can't go too fast because Higham is almost directly behind the tunnel. We're not supposed to stop at Higham, but since we are in through Rome, we can nevertheless stop at Higham. You can see tunnel and then Higham, and you can see how we are just rolling downwards into the tunnel, and why we are so prone to push the 15 miles speed limit when coming out of Strood into the tunnel. So my Desiro city, get us through the tunnel. Don't worry, we don't have to stop when getting out of this tunnel, because as everybody knows, there is a little gap between the two tunnels. And now we have to prepare for a stop at Higham. This train also has a very nice rolling and rumbling sound. A very deep rumbling. And we're next stop is Higham. Wouldn't it nice to have these announcements on the trains? Wouldn't it be nice, I think. Yeah, Higham. I actually don't know what there is at Higham, but I spent like 40 minutes there, since not so many stops stop at Higham. This rickety bridge. For the passengers, the overpath, and yep. We can stop here and go into photo mode, because that is more or less that bridge where I took the picture of those two 700s, one leaving, one coming in. Higham, here it came in even more, so that is train that we are running on at the moment. Class 700 Desiro. You can see about that view here with that little waiting cabinet. But instead of this wheelchair ramp thingy in the game, there is just this thing for the newspapers. Here. So I took a picture of that thingy that is not represented in the game. That's one of the AWS magnets. We had this discussion why some of them are painted in yellow and some of them are painted in... See, the rest it is Higham or Higham. I don't really know. We don't have Lofty on the stream, otherwise you could tell us. Even Vor, for the first time in the chat, this is fascinating. Thank you so much for your comment on the chat. Yep. That's what I thought, and this is why I got off every train. Actually, this AWS magnet is this AWS magnet in the game. It is green painted in the game, and it is, well, maybe it has been painted green before, but it does not really look that green anymore. And we've discussed this. Some of them are painted green, some of them are painted yellow, and this is according to the specific frequency that they are operating on. And we had this explanation that some of them needed to operate on a different frequency so that they don't interfere with other things that are happening on the railways. But yeah, in real life it looks a bit gray, a bit more gray. What you can see here also in real life is that they really have often rails lying about in the middle of the track for some reason, so that they are there in case you need them. And this is Higham Station, where I was sitting, as I said, for quite some time. Probably on this bench here. Let's take the picture out of the way. Here is the game. Here is the real life. And actually we are a bit more to this side. And there is not this round information point. In the game it is sitting here next to the exit. In real life it was fixed here to the wall. And this is this rickety bridge as it looks in real life. In the game. And now my train is obviously in the way a bit. Now I can't find my mouse. Yeah, this is the game. Even War. I'm looking forward to getting the game when SimWorld 6 is released, but I can't wait. I guess it'll be a few more months yet, right? It won't be that much time. I think it's more like 6 weeks or something, or maybe 2 months. So just watch out for the Dovetail Direct on the 26th, I think, of August, and then they will release all the relevant data when it will be released and what versions there are, what packs there are, what the new routes will be, what the new deluxe locomotives will be, and so on. So it won't be long, and in a good week or something with the Dovetail Direct, we will know everything that there is to know. Yes, so this is what it looks in real life. This is what it looks in the game. Actually quite close, I think. What more pictures do I have? Maybe I should actually look at the pictures and not at the game. Yeah. That sign I loved. This is the way out when the ticket office is closed. Clonk. And it actually was closed, the ticket office. And that is that door here without that sign. But actually with this electricity... Oh, this is not an electricity box. This is just from the roof. But the door is there. And the way out then would be here, where people are coming in. Yeah, and there I was sitting on the bench and waiting for another service to stop here. It was actually a class 700. A guy came and asked me for a smoke, what I couldn't provide since I don't have anything to smoke. Other guy came and asked me for a battery pack, what I couldn't provide for. So, and then the train actually arrived. And then we got to Gravesend, and this is what we are going to do now. Back to our train. We don't even need to close the doors. Just need to start it. Beep, 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 beep. The weathering is actually quite close to reality. So we're passing Junction again. Spectre Gravesend or Gravesend. Both a bit scary, right? I know, right? Gravesend to Gravesend. I think they said Gravesend. This train is calling at Strood, Higham, and Gravesend. Whistle. I really did not drive this train a lot, as it seems. Junction Yard. There you can shunt with the class 66. And then we will be slowed down to 30 for the Gravesend. And at Gravesend we have to change back to a Javelin because only the Javelins are going to Ebbsfleet, Stratford and St Pancras then. This train would go on to Dartford, Denmark Hill, and ultimately London Victoria, so it's more or less going by London in the south and end up in London Victoria, what you know from London Brighton, from the London commuter. Akura talked about it earlier. Also from Strood you can go that direction. Wow, I've driven 7 miles on the 700. Why did I not use this train before? For whatever reason. See, there, well, you can change the power on 700 to overhead. I could, couldn't I? Does it actually work in the game? It does work. Well, then we will do that. Then we will do that. We will figure it out when we get there. Then we will stay on this train after all. Can you change from London commuter to Southeast High Speed in-game? I don't think so, because the area is not represented. And I will see the flashing whites. Well, then we'll do this. There is actually quite a lot of track LED, but it is not operated. Hello, Aproteus 2003. Nice to see you on the chat. Thank you for your chat entry. Alright, we will figure this out, but first we will go to Gravesend. Here's the 30 for Gravesend. Just looking for someone to talk to about trains out of boredom. How are you? Well, we're doing fine. Just returned from England from a visit to Dovetail Games. And now I'm a bit knackered. But I'm sharing my pictures that I took yesterday on this line and compare it with what the line looks like in the game. Gravesend, ladies and gentlemen. And you're from Canada, nice to hear. We have few but very knowledgeable people as far as trains and railways are concerned on the channel. I haven't been to the UK in about 15 years. We are hoping on going back there soon. Well, I've never been to Canada, unfortunately. And I would like to go. So, CD radar, power supply off, AC for a few seconds, power supply to on should work. Okay, let's see. Power supply to off, you say. Well, that was on. Sorry. Power supply off. And then the mode to overhead for a couple of seconds after it stopped flashing, and on again. But not here, obviously, right? Because we are still at Gravesend and we don't have an overhead catenary. So power supply to off. DC. Yeah, Spectre, you name it. As usual, you paid attention. But I was just trying it out. I was lucky to ride the Hunslet Austerity 060 excursion train in Isle of Wight last time I went, says Aproteus. Ah, that is interesting. The Isle of Wight. The excursion train is unfortunately not in the Isle of Wight DLC. Not now under the cables, obviously. Yes, guys, but just let me play. Let's see if it works out when we actually get there. Now we are at Gravesend. Gravesend. And it should be this part here where I ended up at Gravesend. Anyone from the US in the chat? I don't think so, unless someone has not said hello and is from the US. Here, Gravesend. This is that roof. Here in the reality there was a train that I cannot put on platform 0 because I don't have a 707, and this was a 707 train actually that was standing there. So more pictures from Gravesend. This is this part of the station on the other side with the about this section with this white roof here. Looking at it from the opposite direction. With the blue overpass. Like this in the game. This little white booth is not represented as it seems. Now what was the train that was sitting on platform 0? A 707 that is also a Desiro train, a Desiro City. But that is not in the game, the 707. This is the view on towards the tunnels. As you can see in the game, that the dry cleaners is not actually represented here. Houses look a bit different. But this is the tunnel entrance with the 2 signals. That is again this part of the station. Oh no, it's not again, we have not seen it yet. That is station part with the platform 0. What is, as is to be expected, a bay platform. A platform that ends that view in the game about. Probably some reskin 700 from Online Hub. Maybe you can find it there, yeah. This picture I took because here you can nicely see the shorter version of the TPWS grids that they use for stopping the train that is approaching a buffer block. So in the game it is this part here with the 2 grids and the buffer block at the end of platform 0. And you can easily see that those grids that are used for this purpose are significantly shorter than the grids that are used for TPWS normally. Then again, a view of the brittle roof on platform number 1 with the DoD monitors. I think it will be in the game about this area. Then that is, yeah, for comparison, those are the TPWS grids that are used at the location of a main signal that stop a train immediately if they try to pass a red signal, a signal of danger. Here on the left you can see the thing in the game. Also here, both grids, both TPWS grids are put next to each other so that the trigger and the arm signal are more or less coming at the same time, stopping the train that is trying to spad and pass the signal of danger. That what the 2000 Hertz magnets try to prevent in Germany. And those are the signs that are mounted to the tunnel entrance. In the game there is actually not really anything mounted to the tunnel entrance at this point. It's also interesting, this green sign here at points like this, you typically find the number that you can call if you are thinking about doing something stupid and entering the line here. This is the buffer block at the end where you can walk around. Even worse is we're neighbors. I'm in Prague. That's cool. More people from Prague. So that is that. Here networker came in after the 707 left. And then the Javelin, the Victory Javelin. Also at Gravesend. And then I was already at Ebbsfleet. So let's go and go to Ebbsfleet. For that, I need a new path. That will take me to Ebbsfleet. Why does it say Northfleet? Because it is Northfleet. I don't want to go to Northfleet. I want to go to Ebbsfleet. Ebbsfleet International, Ebbsfleet Domestic. Yeah, and we are on the domestic part. Because we are a domestic train. Off we go. It will be hard put driving this train under the TVM 430 though. So it might actually take us forever to go to Stratford. But well, we can always try. Not going to Dartford, to Ebbsfleet. And the interesting part is that the game knows that and the white lights will be flashing for us. Really? Oh, that's cool. Now, this is what you meant earlier with the white flashes. Well then, we will do it. Even War, thanks for the follow. Very much appreciated. Alright, now we're going to the left. You'll see, hopefully. Well, we'll do that. But I guess our speed clock will not switch to kilometers, will it? Power changeover signs. Even worse says, I grew up in England and often used Chiltern Railways trains from Oxford to London. That's also a thing that we don't have in the game, have we? What we just passed was the TPWS set up for a overspeed sensor loop when approaching this signal here. So, Ebbsfleet, photo mode. And I got off the train more or less at the end. And there was not anything close to that crowd that you can see here. But those information boards, they were actually there, as you can see. They actually look nicer in reality with the white writing. And then I looked around. Actually, in the game there is a wall that there is not in real life, or there was not yesterday at any rate, where you can look down to this parking area. And again, the part where we just stopped, or from more to the... No, that is the opposite direction, otherwise the curve does not make sense. More or less down here. This interesting version of an AWS magnet with this extra thing in the middle. Was to be found here. Now our train is standing on it. Here's this overspeed sensor loop where the two grids of the TPWS of the TPWS over sensor loops. And even though does the magnet really stop the train? What we see here in the picture, in the real life picture, does stop the train. It checks if the train is above a certain speed, and if the train is, then the train gets stopped. So more or less this first magnet here sends a signal to the train that starts a timer on the train, and if the timer has not run out until the train gets the signal from the second grid, then a penalty brake application is initiated. Because the faster the train, the more likely the chance that the timer has not run out until the train hits the next stop. And so by putting those two grids in a certain distance, you can judge at what speed the system should initiate a penalty brake. Those are called overspeed sensor loops in the TPWS system. Got a video on the channel about it if you're interested. And there are Pringles vending machines. I did not see one in real life. I don't know if there is one in the game. That will be the view over to the international part of Ebbsfleet Station. What is funny that you can look at the outside of the station from a station platform. So that will be that view. Here in the game you can't read this Ebbsfleet writing. In real life you can. This is a real life view of one of those waiting booths. They are really comfy. And they look pretty much what they look like in the game. Like here, that's the game. That's the real life and the game. Even those weird plastic sacks exist in real life. It's a bit more bluish. It looks a bit more modern in the game, but still. There are some PIS monitors inside those waiting booths, so you can check out. And I found out that there's another Javelin at the international part of the station, but I did not dare leave the gate area in case they would not let me in with my ticket anymore. Here is a picture where you can see where this other line from Northfleet is coming in. Can't really see it in the game, I think, because, well, some of it you can see. Like here, you can see this bridge. That is more or less this line. So when standing on the platform at Ebbsfleet, you can see the Class 700 trains coming there. This picture I took because of the sign telling you not that the 6 car trains have to stop here, but for the GSMR setting that you are required to have here. Then this is the signal at the end of the platform that is telling you that here the cab signaling part starts with TVM 430. Not an LED signal, but one of the more older versions. So this will be the corresponding signal in the game. So again, pretty close. This is the signal at the other end of the platform. You can see I walked back and forth on this platform a couple of times, where you can see that the pantograph needs to be down and that you're changing to 750 volts British Railway on the 3rd rail. So that would be this signal here. Here it is. Here, the both signals all together with the 2 signs for the speed, for the permissible speeds. Very nice emote, even for the white one for miles, the white numerals on black. Is it 750 in Germany? Is it 750 in Germany? What do you mean with is it 750 in Germany? The voltage? No. We don't really have 3rd rail voltage in Germany. At least I don't know. Maybe Spectre knows any railway that runs with a 3rd rail. The overhead catenary voltage in Germany is typically 15,000 volts. And those lower voltages, Berlin S-Bahn radar, maybe. I should have asked JM Simulations. He was at the meeting at Dovetail Games, and he's from Berlin. And I think he works for the Berlin S-Bahn. Hamburger Hochbahn has it, and Berlin S-Bahn. Spectre, thank you very much. I knew that I could count on you. And do they use 750 volts on their 3rd rail? Yeah, this is actually not here at this part in the game. It was this corner where, but you can find it actually often represented, these funny black pyramids that prevent you from walking into some areas where you're not supposed to walk to. And I had to touch it because I always wondered what kind of feel and structure, texture those thingies have. Both have 750 volts DC, says Spectre. See? Okay. Thank you much. So even though we have it on the 3rd rail, on the Stadtbahnen, and Hamburg has 1.2 kilovolts. See, people know a lot. But those are Stadtbahnen, S-Bahnen, commuter rails, where the distances that you have to go over with your power are not so long, and then it makes more sense to have those lower voltages in a third rail. Anyway, and this picture I took because it showed the theater indicator on this exit signal with the D. Well, I'm not actually sure where this is. Acura. Yes, sure, I should have mentioned it. Yes, obviously two different things, S-Bahn Hamburg and Hamburger Hochbahn. One with 1.2 and one with 750. And then I was looking backwards again, and then someone called me because of the horses and something had to be sorted out at the stables. So the next picture that we see is from Stratford already. So let's see if we can get this train to Stratford. For that we need a new path. Let's set the path first. Stratford International. Where is it sitting? Oh, Stratford International should be that one here, right? No, it does not even show a... Is it even further on to get to Stratford? Yeah, here we are. And we should be on this platform here. Here is actually where the Javelin stop. Spectre says, oh my god, I sound like a nerd. Well, this is, I think, something that you cannot avoid if you're dealing into trains. Sorry, guys. All good. Oops, now I moved it too fast. So, off! Holy moly. Off! AC. On. And hold it until it stops flashing. Do I have a pantograph? I have a pantograph.
Smoking is not permitted in any part of this station or on trains. This includes e-cigarettes.
Alright. Let's go. It moves. And now let's check out if we get the white lights on the TVM markers. Funny thing is that our speed clock is still in miles. I thought, at least. Here, flashing whites. We can run past them. Yeah, CD Radar was right. How could anyone have expected anything less? So 60 on the speed clock and 60 on the indicator here. But I am limited to 80 miles. I wonder if this is an official rule for trains without TVM. 430, they were limited to 80 miles when traversing these tunnels. Eurostar Class 377 has left. No, it is more now. It is not an official rule as it seems. We are now running. Don't know how fast this train is actually allowed to go. Does it say somewhere? But probably not 140 miles. See, I think that you should go on site on this. You don't know whether the next ones are flashing. Yes, the flashing ones are obviously telling you to go on site. But if I go on site now, then we will not be done with this stream. Until a Monday morning. And since we are playing in free roam mode, we can be absolutely certain that we are the only train in the world. We will see if we actually get this train to derail. There is no maximum speed 100 miles. Alright. P doesn't have any lights. That is probably so because it is permissible anyway. Only the N ones have flashing lights because we would have to stop there. And the P ones we don't need to stop there necessarily because they are permissible. This is why they don't have lights. P, no lights. Well, but anyway, we should never do this under normal circumstances. I can do this because we are free roam and because we have to get this stream to an end at some point. This is why I'm running this Class 700 along to Stratford International. Even though it will take some time in the tunnel. We did not even turn on the safety systems, did we? When we spawned this train anew. Or did we do it? Or at least... Nah, it's the old scoring system. This is where we're getting full points.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Thank you so much. Spectre reminds me of the Mastery Challenge on the London Overground line where you have to go above 80 miles per hour and the train that comes behind it is limited to 79. Okay. The train that comes with it to achieve the 80 miles per hour. Well, sometimes it is also okay to play some loose shit and not always be a stickler for the rules as you would be in real life. That's the nice thing about simulation, that you can play around and outside of the box a bit. Those flashing, yeah, we have seen those flashing lights on the TVM markers because they are in the game for the railhead treatment train services. I think this is why they built it in. 25k volts, yes, it is 25,000 volts. We are getting fed into our train. So, and now the long stretch underground. At least you can see them flashing from far away. Horses, yes. Sorry, Juniper, I did not see that. About the horses, they called me. Yeah, I have some horses that nobody wanted, and so I took them. Well, some. Not that many, but 2 of them I got for... One of the horses was almost starving where it was before, the other one was almost being slaughtered because it was kicking off everyone tried to ride her. So I took them and take care of them now. And at the stables there is always something going on, and the girls and ladies at the stables are always finding something to disagree over. In your backyard or in a stable? No, in a stable actually. So I depend on other people to take care of the horses when I am not there in person. And this means that I sometimes have to tend to that, even from Ebbsfleet International. I also ride them. Or try to ride them, try to get as well. And spectators, that is an extremely cool thing to do, and cruelty to animal is an absolutely no-go. How can people let their animals suffer from hunger? Well, sometimes it's just a thing of money, right? People buy horses and try to run an establishment where they have horses, and then they can, for some reason, not afford to buy enough food. And then they think, whoops, that was quite quick across the... switch here. I should probably brake, yeah. That is actually a good idea, CD radar. Whoa, now we passed our signal at danger. Well, anyway, we spawned back at Stratford International. Well, That happens if you get me started on horses. Yes, expected. Yeah, Inspector. Obviously, I'd try riding those horses, and one of them is can be ridden quite properly. The other one is a challenge to ride, and I'm still working with her to make this better and easier. She was actually supposed to be a school horse in a riding class and kicked everyone off, so she wasn't really a good horse. An anonymous gifter gave Spectre a tier 1 sub. 3 cheers for the anonymous gifter who gave Spectre a sub. Thank you so much, anonymous gifter. Very kind of you and a nice thing to have. Yeah, it is still extremely expensive and getting more and more expensive over the years, so I probably would not necessarily do it again. But now that I have them, I take care of them as long as they live. Yeah, Stratford International. This is what it looked like yesterday in that direction here. This is the view in reality. Spectre. Whoa, I received a sub thanks to anonymous gifter. Yes, and he sports the badge. This is what it looks like in the game. You can see the columns, and this is what it looked like yesterday. It is really a weird setup for a station like in this. It is almost like a lock or a wharf where you can build ships in without the water then. So deep in this underground area, like 3 stories underneath street level, or at least 2 stories underneath. Akura, what a noble thing to do, spend money and time on animals. Yeah, obviously they are a lot of fun to work with and are really great beings to be with and work with. Nevertheless, you can't really go on a holiday anymore because you have to take care of them, and, well, the money that I spend on hay alone could take me on some nice trips around the globe. Here's a Javelin sitting at the platform. Actually a Javelin that I did not take because it was so full of party goers to London. So I waited for the next one. Here those interesting houses that you can find next to the Stratford International Station. Let's see if I can find a view here. Probably not. Maybe I should spawn a Javelin and use the spawn new train. And use the photo mode. Photo mode, that's what I wanted to do. So that we can see those houses better. So where are they? Probably on the rear end, more like. I think it was when I looked up. On this end, on that end. Not entirely sure anymore. Oop, where did I fall in now? Yeah, and those are the markers for the TVM system. It's probably that one here actually that I took the picture of along the platform. And this is what we just saw with those escalators and stairs in real life in the game. Interesting station, interesting structure. See it, say it, sorted, the British Transport Police. If you see something that does not seem right, call the British Transport Police or text it to 61016. We sort it. So they use French signaling system in the UK, Juniper asks. Yes, they do on this line, because this is the line where the Eurostar comes in through the Channel Tunnel, and it goes until St Pancras, and all along the line, the Eurostar uses its native TVM 430 safety cap signaling system along with the KVB system, and for the last bit between the tunnel and St Pancras you have KVB, French train protection, primarily for the Eurostar, but all the other trains that are running on that section are using it too. So the Javelin, not ever going through the tunnel to France, is using the French train protection system alongside with the signaling that comes with it. Actually quite cool. Here you can see KVB's a CD radar and has a vomiting emote. What is so wrong with KVB? It's a bit of a weird system. Still, in case anyone's interested, we have videos about this in the French version on the TGV and as well for the Javelin. The couplings between two train sets of the Javelin variety, and more pictures from Stratford where they are building and building and building. And this is the signal, if you want to call it like this, the TVM block marker at the end of the platform, the one that just spattered us out of the game. It has an N telling us that it is non-passable. And I just took those pictures to show how big those thingies actually are in real life. Alone those protectors for the lights so that you can see them even if there is a lot of sun. Juniper says, yeah, so all the local trains that ride a part of that line, they need to purchase the KVM installation when ordering the train. This is why the 700s don't go there. Only the Javelins, the 395s. Yep. And here, those screens. Again, Stratford. The other way around will be in the game. Like this. Probably. Those are installations on the lines where the Eurostar was running through. Looks a bit run down in real life. Suspect that, well, yeah, that's the thing. Everything looks a bit run down in real life. And so pristine and just like out of the wrapper in the game. I'm actually not sure what those thingies are doing. Here, this is a picture of the trainbow. Westfield. What does that mean? The one with the trainbow livery was just passing through. This is just to have a comparison with the loo in the 700. This is the loo in the Javelin. The accessible one, very neat and tidy. This is where it looks from the outside in the Javelin. So actually can compare it what it looks like in the game. Since we have a Javelin here to compare it to. So I was sitting probably somewhere around here. And this is what it looked like in real life. So the color of the handrail was a bit different. Oh yeah, actually I was sitting here in this seat. In this very seat I was sitting when I took this picture. Because this red thingy here is actually there. By mistake I took a picture of this red thingy, but I threw it out of the collection because I did not know that it was of any use. Here in the window, reflecting. And yeah, it is true, in real life that was there too. Those folding table that you can pull out and use it for whatever, changing diapers on your baby if you don't want to do it in the loo. Or whatever you might need a table for. I'm just trying to move the picture, but it is still on the train. Yeah, and then I took pictures from approaching St Pancras actually. Here, this is the 60 that is protected with the KVB in the game, and in real life obviously too. And this sometimes can stop you short if you're not paying attention. Aha, that's the color of the Waterloo and City line. It's a city radar. I see. Well, the Javelin that I was on was sporting those colors. And then when I came into St Pancras, as you can see, I looked to the right and there are the Midland trains, but not the East Midland train, but the East Midland. What is it called on the train? Well, the East Midland Intercity. And then actually a Eurostar at St Pancras. This is what it looks like. Color scheme wise, a bit dull in my opinion. The Javelins look much better than the Eurostar. And here is the star for the Eurostar through the fence. And then at St Pancras, I told you in the beginning, next station in a couple of meters only across the road is King's Cross, where you find not only platform 9 3/4, but also the beginning of the East Coast Main Line with the Azuma train. So I snuck over to King's Cross. I couldn't really enter that station because my ticket wouldn't allow me access to King's Cross, but I was able to find a spot where I can take a picture of an Azuma train for CD radar. The same Velaro as in Germany, right? Says Juniper. Is that so? I'm not exactly sure. At the Eurostar Velaro. That might be. But I did not check this out. If this particular train that I caught on camera here is one of those. Well, yeah. This concludes my slideshow of 100. The Eurostar and the Baureihe 408. You might totally be right, Juniper. But I did not really check this out, if that is exactly the same train. If any of the two will appear in the game at one time, I will figure this out, I'm sure. At the moment, I will take your word on face value. Yeah, CD Ready. Who's talking about the Eurostar? Not the Asuma. I think. And if Spectre is still here, he can correct us on that. I think the Eurostar is based on the Siemens Velaro platform, but they have differences. We will figure this out at some time. So what do we do? Do we finish our... Jesus. What did this do? That was weird. Let's finish our service and drive our train here to St Pancras, where we started, and get it to a proper platform for the Javelins. So the 395 services are entering on those three platforms. As we've seen in the beginning, the long platforms mainly are for the Eurostars, the international part of the station, and then on the other side of the station you have the mostly the East Midland trains coming in. Doors are closed anyways. We need some lights. Day running. MSCB light is on. That is not a good sign. Ah. Maybe we should use this first. Yep. This should give us enough power to get to London St Pancras. This is... and Juniper, there is no line in the game to Heathrow, I guess. And Spectre says Great Western Express has the airport Junction in it, but at present there are no Heathrow Express trains in it. I think it is planned for the remaster. That makes sense. And there is one of the few, or maybe the single splitting distance signal that has flashing yellow aspect on the Heathrow Junction from the Great Western Express line. What I have learned from a very knowledgeable for me getting home, you mean? Yeah, for me getting home, no, I went to Stansted then from St Pancras. I took the tube and went the Victoria line to Tottenham Hale, and then with the Stansted Express run by Greater Anglia to Stansted Airport. I got out of the train at... what was it again? I forgot the name actually of the station. And then a second time at Stansted Mount Fitchett. And then for the last leg to Stansted Airport. But this, neither the Victoria subway line nor the Greater Anglia trains are in the game. So, for thinking this will be a short stream because I'm knackered after the trip to DTG, it got quite a long chill stream, but nevertheless, I enjoyed it quite a lot with you guys chatting and you enduring my slideshow from my trip to England. But I actually enjoy this a lot, comparing the real-life pictures with the in-game pictures. Or the in-game installations and implementations. And sometimes it is really great how strikingly close they get. AWS. And now we actually have both. We have KVB and AWS. But actually I did not turn on the KVB as it seems. Because I can see no... Whoa! They sent us across a weird path here. That was not what I expected. Got a run, Spectre. Thank you for the stream. Very interesting stuff. Thank you for staying with us. And at any rate, it got you a stop. Akuraya, I was expecting like 2 hours, but now it's quite more. Oh, we have our KVB on. I just didn't see it with no lights on. Getting sent to platform 13. And back we are at St Pancras, where I arrived yesterday at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now you can see how the KVB is announcing the stop for the buffer block. And we are at the area where I waited like 2 or 3 hours for RAF to go on to Chatham on Wednesday. But it's actually a nice place to wait. And I watched the Javelins for 2 or 3 hours. And I tell you what, they all departed on time. There was not one that was delayed for whatever reason. Here we are. Thank you so much for bearing with me and all your comments. Next week I will probably have again some more educational stuff for you and sometimes we will still have streams like this where we compare the real life pictures with the in-game stuff. Look forward to the Dovetail Direct on 26th or something of August for all the new great news about Train Sim World 6. Be nice to each other, have a great time, take care. Akura says, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, thank you and good night. Thank you so much. Evan Vor says it was great. Juniper says good night all night. Good night, bye bye, and see you soon.